Hey everyone. I apologize about the change in location. I'm currently in the middle of my house hopping stages for winter break, and I'm staying at my friend's dorm who's from my hometown. So that's where I'm staying currently, and that will be why I am currently making a video here. So I've been meaning to make a video on sexuality for a while now, mostly because it's such a complicated thing that I just wanted to make a little bit of a video explaining my process through kind of the interconnection between my sexuality and figuring out I was trans, but also just because right now I don't really know what my sexuality is, and I'll explain that later. This is probably going to be a longer video just because I have to give a backstory from, honestly, pretty much the very beginning, because my sexuality has changed a lot for different circumstances, but I think my earliest memory of ever having someone place a sexuality on me was when I was maybe in preschool. I was really young, and I had a friend of mine who was the son of one of my mom's close friends, so he and I would just play together a lot. And my mom always, like, I don't know, at one point she was talking to his mom and mentioned something about how it, like, how she thought I liked him or something, or it was, I don't know. I don't remember how she phrased it, but it was something that I could pick up at that age, but I knew what it meant. And it just made me feel very uncomfortable with her saying that, because I didn't like him. He was just my friend, and we hung out a lot, and that was it. So that was the first time that I ever remember it coming up, and it made me very repulsed, and I didn't really know why. So that was my first. Then I remember in elementary school, in kindergarten, there was a friend of mine who was interested in me, like, you know, the little kindergarten crushes. And I just kind of said I was interested back because, I don't know, he was my friend and I thought he was cool in the friend way. So, not that, like, we did a little kindergarten dating thing, because I know that does happen, but it never got to that, but, like, he wrote me, like, a little card or whatever that said a heart or something like that. It turns out, after he moved away in elementary school, but moved back in high school, he identified as gay. Go figure. So that's all I can really remember for elementary school, was just one of those situations like that where people would assume that, like, I liked another guy because I was close friends with them, which was kind of annoying because I was just their friend. Then middle school hit, which, you know, is puberty and stuff like that. And around that time, like, it was just when people started liking other people a lot, and so I kind of felt obligated to be interested in people, I guess. There were a few guys who I was interested in that I thought I had crushes on, and I didn't really, but it was me trying to convince myself that I was straight. Around 8th grade, I think, there were some people at my school who started calling me lesbian, and that really annoyed me, because the term just didn't identify with me. I just did not identify with the term lesbian, and it just made me so upset. So I continued to defy that by liking guys. So pretty much up until that entire point, I was convinced that I was straight, even though I kind of knew I wasn't, but it was a whole long thing of convincing myself that I was something that I wasn't. And that's when freshman year of high school hit, where I met this girl, and instantly within the 3rd day of school, I remember this exactly, I just fell head over heels for her. And I couldn't deny it. Pretty much the entire year was spent with me trying to convince myself that I didn't like her. And I just kept being in denial of it, and yeah, so I never really ended up confiding in anyone that entire year about the fact that I liked her. Until the end of the year, and that's when I said, alright, well, you know, maybe I'm bi. Maybe I like guys and girls. I kind of went through that, like, I ended up liking her for a little bit over 2 years of high school, while liking other people a little bit on the side, but mostly her. Towards the end of liking her, I started thinking that maybe I wasn't a girl. And this was towards the end of my sophomore year of high school, yeah. Because I was pretty sure that I didn't like guys, and I was pretty sure that I did like girls, but I didn't want to be seen as a girl liking girls. Like, that just, it felt weird to me. And so I started kind of exploring things. I knew what transgender was for a while, but I didn't really know that it applied to me. I just thought it was something that was not me. Like, it never occurred to me until I looked it up more, started thinking about it, and yeah. So that is a little bit of a segment on how sexuality and labels have actually both helped me to find out I was trans. Because if the term lesbian hadn't been such a weird term for me to use for myself, then I probably wouldn't have figured it out. So then I thought that maybe because of that, I might be able to convince the girl that I liked to date me. Just because, you know, I was a guy. I knew it. But I hadn't transitioned yet. So I asked her out at the beginning of junior year, and she said no. And I was heartbroken, but I got over it and started liking another girl. While liking that girl, I got to know someone else who I ended up starting to date because of that. She and I had known each other, kind of, because her brother was older, and I knew him pretty well, and I'd seen her a couple times. So then she was a freshman when I was a junior and had come to school there, and we were just friends for a while until we just started getting to know each other more. And I had come out to her as trans a little bit after Halloween because I went to a Halloween dance dressed up as a guy, because it made me feel more comfortable. Yeah, so that's why I told her. She actually introduced me to Twin Fool's YouTube channel, which helped a lot. Then I started liking her, and she started liking me, and she had already known that I was trans, so it wasn't like a problem of having to tell her that and see if she would accept it or anything, which was really nice. I have not been that lucky in any future encounters, but we started dating. And while that was a bit of a rough start, we did end up dating for a little bit over a year. She helped out a lot with me being more confident in myself as a trans guy, even before I had transitioned. And we were dating before I started transitioning and during it, which was really helpful because she helped me out a lot with that. And through that, I definitely found out that I do like girls, 100%. That was one solidification of my sexuality, and I just kind of was convinced with the fact that I only like girls. But then she started identifying as bigender, and I was just completely fine with it. Like, I didn't care how she wanted to identify. If she felt like a guy one day and wanted to just present herself as that, then I was fine with it. That kind of made me wonder if I wasn't straight, which, I didn't really care. It just made me question, because I figured, well, if I was 100% into girls and not guys, then I wouldn't be very interested in that. But I was fine with it. So yeah, the relationship ended, and I started going to college. Then I started liking this one girl, who I've mentioned before in previous videos, the one who's very Christian, and whom I asked out, and she kind of said maybe, but the fact that she had to think about that whole situation. So that almost turned into a relationship, but then I just started liking her less. Having waited for that long, it was kind of in this little limbo thing, and I was very tired of it. So that almost relationship ended. During the end of it, I started realizing that maybe I actually do like guys too. Because I have, admittedly, always been attracted to guys physically. Not necessarily in the sexual way, but I can always appreciate a very attractive guy. I've always been able to do that, and I've talked with friends before about, oh yeah, you know, that one guy, he's pretty damn attractive. I started thinking more about that, and the fact that there was this guy at college that I was, and still kind of am, interested in. Not like a really big crush or anything, but he is very attractive. For a day last year, I was so convinced I had a crush on him, and I did. And then I found out he had a girlfriend, and I was like, oh, okay, he's probably straight, and he's taken, so whatever. So now I just kind of think of him as attractive, but I know nothing's going to happen out of that. I started realizing maybe I don't really care what gender people are. I just care more about their personality. And I also really don't care what they have in their pants, because that doesn't really matter, in my opinion. And I found that if someone is very attractive, but with a shitty personality, then I just don't like them at all. Which also started making me realize that maybe I do like guys, but as a guy. Which is what I had been fighting for the longest time, because I didn't want to be in a relationship or like a guy being seen as the girl. I wanted to be seen as a guy. And like, while I don't really see myself ever being in a relationship with a guy, because I'm usually not romantically interested in guys, just physically. Like, I don't really care who's considered the guy in the relationship. That's not really important to me. I just want to be seen as a guy in a relationship rather than a girl. So I'm pretty sure that that's the reason why, for the longest time, I did think that I liked guys, but it wasn't really fitting with me. Was because I kept seeing myself as a girl liking a guy, and it didn't work. If that makes any sense. I'm very bad at describing it. And as I said, I don't think I'm probably going to be in a relationship with a guy. Things do happen, and I'm keeping a very open mind. If I do end up liking a guy, then so be it. I do. But I'm usually more physically attracted to guys rather than romantically. So I don't know if I can technically identify as pansexual or not. That's what I'm identifying as currently, unless I am accurately using that label, but I don't think I am. I think that I could be interested in anyone, and I will give anyone a chance. Like, I have a very open mind. I just have my preferences. It's ever-changing, and who knows, maybe a year from now I'll identify as gay or something like that. I doubt it, but who knows? Maybe it might